Hey, and today I'm going to talk to you about a couple of exercises. Their intention is to help you engage both your anterior chain, so the front body fascial system, as well as the posterior chain, so from the back of my head to essentially my heel or the under part of my foot. The reason we want to make sure that both sides, both the anterior and posterior chain, are working synergistically is it's going to help improve the elasticity, the elastic response in the muscle tissue, as well as give us a sensation of lifting off of our joints, which is going to help against any inflammation that you might have in your joints. So I'll go over 3 different exercises. The first one is going to be an anti-extension exercise. So when I say anti-extension, what I mean is we tend to live with our spine kind of moving anteriorly in the world, and this creates a large lordotic curve on the spine. So the first exercise is going to hope to engage the anterior chain, specifically your rectus abdominis, which goes from your sternum to your pubic symphysis or your pubic bone, and then we'll move through the other advanced movements after that. So for the anti-extension work, I'm going to ask the client to lay down on their back. All right, you want to plug your shoulders back, palms face each other, and then you lift your legs and your ankles are higher than your knees. I'm going to cue the athlete to lift their hips off the ground so that you feel the lower abdominals engage. I hold this position. On a breath in, I'm going to take my arms back like the letter V. And then I'm going to exhale, bring my hands back down. And I'll continue with this. And that's going to be our first anti-extension exercise. You'll notice on my exhale, it's a sharp, quick breath out. And that way we're getting that rectus abdominis to contract a little bit. And so we're helping to bring together the sternum and the pelvis a little bit more. You'll notice with a lot of people's postures is that they tend to have the front chain or the anterior chain is going to be locked long. So they'll actually struggle to make the front part of their body to integrate and to fully contract. So this is a good beginner exercise to introduce to somebody if you notice that the anterior chain is locked long. Now, the posterior chain is a little bit more complicated in the sense that you're going to have to first get to know your athlete's pelvic position relative to their low back. Are they going to have a sway back, which is a really strong anterior tilt? Are they going to be a habitual tucker, so that their posterior chain is actually scooped underneath them and their low back is curling underneath their pelvis? Because you're going to want to cue your athlete to either go a little bit more anteriorly or posteriorly, depending on their position in space. The posterior chain exercise, all you need is a kettlebell. And what you're going to cue somebody to do is you want to find a neutral pelvis and a neutral spine. So again, for some people, it's going to be a little bit more of a posterior tilt. For some people, you're going to encourage them to lengthen their spine and tip the pelvis forward. For your clients who sit anywhere from 5 to 9 hours a day, chances are they're going to be posteriorly tilted, and you'll have to cue them to anteriorly tilt. Somebody like me, I'm on my feet a lot. I have a natural anterior or a sway back position, so I'm going to have to be mindful and add a little bit of a posterior tilt. I'm going to send my hips back, all right? I'm going to grab the kettlebell. Now from here, you'll bring your spine to either a 30-degree or 45-degree angle, depending on the athlete's abilities and what you're trying to get out of them. Now, you want to pull your knees back so that your shins are vertical and close your armpits so that no air can get into it. From here, you neutralize your head. I have a straight focus about, 4 to 6 feet in front of me, and I'm just going to swing that kettlebell. The entire time I'm breathing, still focusing on that sharp exhale. If you notice the client's knees start to come forward, cue them to keep their butt back. That's going to help to engage that posterior chain. And then once the athlete figures this movement out, you're going to tell them that when the weight goes back, the weight should be in their heel. When it goes forward, the weight should be in the ball of their foot. And that's going to help them to start to understand how to put weight into different parts of their ankle. And it's going to improve their proprioceptive awareness of how to ground in the middle of the foot versus, living in the anterior plane or simply living in the heels in the posterior plane. So it's a really good exercise to both engage the front body and the back body, but it's really great to help people learn how to change the pressure in their feet according to the load of their body, utilizing the kettlebell. The last exercise I'm going to show, probably a more basic one you might have seen before, is going to be a forearm plank. So in the forearm plank, you either take grace hands or straight arms, all right? And same thing, you want to cue the person you're working with to find a neutral pelvis and a neutral low back. You straighten your legs, you drive the balls of your feet down and press your heels back. Now your goal in this position is to get the balls of the feet to push and get your quads to squeeze. If it gets really hard for you, or you start falling into your compensatory pattern, you just drop your knees, pull your heels halfway to your butt, keep holding. And then you take a rest. So in all three movements, I am concentrating on that sharp, quick exhale to get that rectus abdominis to feel the connection and kind of cinch my rib cage down. And then on my breath in, I still want to feel my rib cage expand. And then at the same time, you're always thinking about how can I get the person I'm working with to feel their glutes. All right, chances are they're going to have to take their hips further back, keep their shins a little bit more vertical in the kettlebell movement, and then you're going to have to get to know their position, their pelvic position in space relative to their low back, because that's going to make a lot of difference in how your athlete or yourself feels the exercise. So incorporate these into your warm-up, your workout, days off. Play with it. Make sure that the anterior and posterior chain are working harmoniously together. Thank you.